Welcome to this webinar. Welcome to the 19th Testing Thursday webinar. This time the subject is Tosca and CICD. Actually, the top of the last webinar has been CICD as well. So it's really worth watching it again if you want to know more about the topic. This time we will zoom in on the combination between Tosca and CICD. As you can hear, this is the first webinar of Testing Thursday in English. Let's try to do it on a different way, but also one of my experts in my team is English. I will introduce him later. So for today, my name is Thijs Wonders. I will be the host for this Testing Thursday webinar. My role within Cicd is community manager for our Tri-Center test automation community, a team full of experts in the field of Tosca, Q-test, Neoload, etc., the full Tri-Center stack. And we want to enlighten you about the combination with CICD. So as you can understand, it's only a webinar of 1 hour, so or less at this point of time, less than 1 hour. We cannot go very well in depth. At other moments, we will be able to dive deeper into the topic. So let me introduce my experts. On my right side, Otman and Santosh, welcome. Very happy that you can join us. Yeah, Otman, can you introduce yourself?
In short, I'm Otman Zamouri. I'm a senior consultant in quality engineering. That means in test automation, QA development, and test tooling. I have test experience since 2009.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Santosh Naik. I'm working as a Tosca consultant in Cicd. I've worked with many different tools like Tosca and UFT, Selenium. Yeah. In the testing world, I have around 17 years of experience. That's
a lot of experience on the table. So I'm very happy that you can join us on this topic. Well, yeah, let's start with if you got any questions, please put them in the chat. A lot of people have been using the chat already, so to tell us that there is no sound, so you know how to find the chat, and I will try to address the questions to Santosh and Otman. But let's start with a poll question to test a little bit how much do you know about CICD. So the first poll question: do you know what is CICD? So the options: continuous integration, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. And let me see how many people are answering the poll question. Well, answers are coming in, and I see that already more than 50% of the people have voted. So can you show us the results, Sebastian? And I have to tell you, Santosh, 46% of the people answered continuous delivery, 38% continuous integration. Some people thought continuous deployment, and none at all came up with continuous testing. So what is CICD?
Yes, CICD. Every answer in this poll was correct. So everybody choose the right answer. But every answer in that case was in this case correct. Why? CICD is the abbreviation means continuous integration and continuous delivery or deployment. So that means that if you have a pipeline from the development phase through via the test via the phase where you test your application, and otherwise after the test phase you will release application, you have the whole package of the process. So that means that if a developer is checking in his code, that will trigger a test, and after the test is triggered, that means that the software package should be deployed to an environment. Why do we see in the poll question continuous testing? In every phase, there should be a testing phase. That means that a developer tests. That means that also business analysts tests in the form of reviews or walkthroughs. A tester, that's logical, that's his focus, that's his core business testing. And at the end, when a release is deployed to an environment, a pre-production environment, it should also be tested. That's the reason why all the answers are correct.
Okay, so we got a basic knowledge of CI/CD already. So let's go for the second poll question. And the second poll question, if we know what is CI/CD, well, yeah, what is CI/CD not? Is it not DevOps? Is it not continuous development? Is it not the Holy Grail? Or is it not continuous installation? So let me see. Okay, most people have answered the poll question already. And let's show the results. Most people, 93% do agree it's not the Holy Grail, and 7% are thinking it's not continuous installation. Is it not the Holy Grail, Santosh?
Well, it's not the Holy. That's the correct answer. As I said, we started with the waterfall methods and initially, and a lot of activities were there when the requirement was confirmed, and then we went into development phase. By the time we released, almost the requirement was out of phase. I mean, what was there in the market, now it is not there. That is what waterfall used to create a lot of problem. You spend a lot of money, and then when you are actually going to release the product in the production, that is you. So we came up with Agile, we came up with Devops now. And when we talk about Agile, DevOps, and continuous integration and continuous deployment is a part of it. I mean, now the organization is more moving towards continuous integration and deployment, so that the time to market is shortened, and we have a quick delivery of our whatever the new features and all. So yeah, it's not a continuous installation or something, but you don't install each and every deployment to the production, but you make sure that the code changes has been happened. You have a working build ready with you.
But I also hear a lot of people talking about DevOps and CI/CD, and then it's not the same.
You can say DevOps. If I say Dev is mostly of the development phase, whereas the Ops becomes the operational phase, where operation is normally with the production and all, and the development is normally the new features and everything. So it's a combination of both that, because earlier it was when initially before DevOps, there was a completely different team who was handling the operations, and completely different. They were not aligned with each other, and so we have to now. We have been one team which is called DevOps, and everyone is responsible for the quality of the product.
That's right. That's right. And so some addition to the remark of Santosh is that DevOps is more like what he already mentioned, is more team-based, like organization structure, and CI/CD is more process-like. So DevOps is, you can say that DevOps part of the whole CI/CD.
It often comes together.
Yes, it comes together.
So we learned a little bit about CI/CD already. Why should an organization start moving forward in CI/CD? Why put effort in it?
In the story of Santosh, we already had seen that he mentioned something like time to market. If you want fast feedback of your product, you should to consider to automate some phases in your process, and the ultimate solution will be a CI/CD pipeline. So if someone like a developer is checking his code, then we can trace that back into some log that it's tested, it's unit tested, it's reviewed, it's code reviewed, peer reviewed, and if you have fast feedback, you can also deliver your product fast. So that's one of the reasons why organizations should go into the CI/CD organization process.
Because the phase now it is very fast. I mean, you just have to be competitive in the market. You cannot be a laid back, like thinking about the requirement and then release it. You have to be very competitive because there are competitors who have already gone very ahead with the product, and you need to make sure that you are also there in that field. So continuous integration and like continuous deployment helps us in that phase. I mean, the developer does is because as I said, in the DevOps, you have all the team members. They are not defined as the testers or developers or something. You have all the team members responsible for it. So they integrate their code, whatever the changes, and then you need to make sure that the build is working fine. So that's why you need a continuous integration and deployment. Mostly deployment will not happen. It happens only when you have a complete requirement in that build. But each and every code is integrated in a workable build, so that end of the day you can show what progress about how the build looks.
So it's definitely about fast feedback, fast feedback on quality. But that sounds logical.
That's true.
But how to start?
The question is not if you want to use CI/CD. The question is when you use, because some organizations are not prepared for that. Can be because they have no expertise for it. There are organizations that are doing test automation, but forget the fact that test automation is only real automation if you have a CI/CD pipeline implemented. So I think CI/CD is a process with human beings. So if you don't involve your team, from product owner to the developer tester, then the CI/CD will be no success.
So it's not only about the technical knowledge, but also about an organization being ready for it.
It's a completely learning process. I mean, you cannot come one day and say that I want to have continuous integration and deployment. You need to have a good like learning maturity, and as your product goes, refinement and all. That is when you know that your pipeline is matured enough to have a deployment in the production.
So it's about changing step by step to
have a maturity.
So it's not just about tooling. It's about
mindset,
learning and mindset and learning organization. I think you touched already a little bit of the requirements and the pitfalls. So what's the biggest pitfall if you want to move into CI/CD? Is it going too fast?
I think like a concrete example. Don't mention the concrete example. If you want to start with CI/CD, then it's important to know why you want to use CI/CD. Because if you look at the CI/CD tooling that are now on the market, you have open source CI/CD tools, you have tools. In our case, you have a combination, I guess, the hybrid form, like Tosca in combination with Jenkins, so open source in combination with a package. You have complete CI/CD management software like Azure Devops. That means that Microsoft is giving you the opportunity to design the whole CI/CD process, inclusive testing inclusive. So the question was, because
the question was, what kind of pitfalls do you see when you're moving towards CI/CD?
In the poll, we saw that it's not the holy grail. It means that if there are teams and there are members who don't know the exact reason for implementing the CI/CD, you will not have the right success to start. And another example is I would like to say is that if you implement a CI tool, you need to have your infrastructure good prepared, because a very performed infrastructure will mean that your CI/CD process will not work efficiently or effective. So that's also a pitfall. You need to work with a lot of teams. So infra team is one of the important teams to be to have contact with if you're a test engineer or test automation engineer.
So the infrastructure team should be in align with the DevOps team, and they should be supporting the team wherever the tools and everything, configurations and everything is required. Then you have a smooth integration of CI/CD in the project.
All right, thank you. So we talked about the requirements, we talked about the pitfalls, but of course this is a testing Thursday. We are testing people. From a testing perspective, what change does CI/CD make for you as a testing professional?
Well, it makes a huge change for me as a testing professional, because I don't have to worry about the execution part, because the main my time goes into the execution, and so it saves me a lot of time in that. Because if I do the same, because normally if I put a lot of money, maybe if I'm going for open source, that is a free tool, but if I'm going for a commercial tool like Tosca, and I'm already spending a lot of money in purchasing the license, then I want to have return of investment on that. And I cannot use that same tool on my local system while I sit in front of the laptop while my execution goes on. So you're wasting almost your 8 hours just when you already have the tool, and you can use that for your continuous testing. I mean, you schedule your execution on a remote VDI or remote local system or something like that, while you continue with your work, whatever there in your user story or whatever task been assigned for the day. So I feel that is a very important point, that you have a lot of time in hand to do your own actual real the current requirement testing, and all the regressions are taken care by the automation too.
So the work is changing, and the more boring part of the job is
it's more. I mean, the client has now started understanding. They know that now the benefits of automation testing. Earlier, it was more of a back and you can say it was like not as a backlog kind of thing. Like the client never took that importance of it, because they were more into deploying the product, like the deadlines and everything. They want to get the product in the production as soon as possible. So automation was always the last point that time. But now, after seeing the automation benefit of it and how much time you have for your testing and all, so client is more now going for automation testing.
So it's making a huge impact on your role as a tester, but also about the happiness in your job,
and
for the client as well. Same for you, Obon?
Same for me. Yeah, I'm really what he already said. That's really true. And if you specific look at the pipeline, you also see that a lot of teams are involved. I already mentioned development. People who are designing the blueprints, so business analysts, testers, then the one acceptance testers more doing the testing on pre-production or acceptance environment. So in the whole pipeline will give all colleagues the opportunity to be one team, to be one process. And in the past, when we didn't use the CI pipelines, you will see a lot of islands. People working to think, okay, I've designed it, I want to throw it over the wall to the tester and test it. But with a pipeline, you can say one is do a checking, test and know, oh, this is a code chain, that means testing, and if everything is automated, then we can keep track.
So it's enabling as well the change in mindset that the full team is responsible for the quality, and it's not the testers responsible.
That is a big change. Now it's because earlier it was more of a tester as a quality, a quality gatekeeper, and once it goes from him, and then it goes to the production. But now with the DevOps changing times, it is a responsibility of the complete team. And so testing is not taken like it's a tester's job, but it's entire team's responsibility of it.
let's do it
So,
together
yeah,
and
together, yeah.
build quality.
Yes.
Let's move to the topic of this webinar, because it's about Tosca and CI/CD. We talked a lot about CI/CD, and you sometimes mentioned already Tosca. And let's start the third poll question we have. And the question we have for you as an audience: how does testing with Tosca fit into CI? In the meanwhile, Otman, why only CI? Why not CI/CD?
The reason why we asked this question to the audience is that if you look into the CI/CD process, the most important thing is to implement the CI part, the continuous integration part. What is the difference between CI and CD is that the CI part means that you need to integrate all your build, test, acceptance environments, and the part CD part means more like deploying your software, and we want to make it very easy, that question. So if we look into Tosca itself, till version 15.1 has a Tosca CI client. And they call it CI client because it focuses on the CI part of the pipeline. If you will implement the CI client to different tools, it's very easy to do that. And why CI? Yeah, I think that's, if you want to implement CD, you need to have your CI phase right. If that isn't right, you can't do.
So it starts with the CI, and that's the most important. Let's have a look at the answers to the poll. Well, actually 29% of the people went for testing is an integral part of CI. Also 29 is going for the second answer. Testing can be done automatically during the whole process. Also 29% is going for a benefit testing as with CI is continuous feedback, and only 14% went for a benefit testing as with CI is monitoring the code quality. How do you think about the answers?
Yeah, I think the answers are right. All the answers are right.
Yeah, it's a bit cheesy, but again, everything is right.
Again, everything is right, because the reason why we are asking these questions is to give the audience and the public the mindset to know what to start thinking about CI. And in this case, all the answers are correct, because CI gives you insight in code quality. It gives you fast feedback. You can implement continuous testing for it. Testing is indeed integral part of the whole CI process, because it starts also with unit testing. You have testing before that, but unit testing, and then the testing phase, and then after that we can do a deploy to the environment, production environment.
And why Tosca, Santosh?
Yeah, because when Tosca comes in picture, like I said, it's more of a continuous testing. So Tosca plays a very important role, because now first of the biggest advantages is a scriptless tool. Means you don't need someone expert in coding or something to use Tosca. So from my experience, I found that, because I normally coach as well on Tosca to the team. So I found most of them, like the users, have good knowledge about the product. They've been working almost like 10 to 15 years on the product, and they are not very expert in coding, and they don't like coding because they have been more into functional expert. And now when Tosca comes into play, it becomes very easier for them to use Tosca. And and as I said, Tricent is also helping a lot with a lot of new features coming up in Tosca, and that helps in their execution. Like if some of the application they were finding difficulty in automating that, now in the next release, Tricent is helping out with making it more easier. So every releases is with new features. It helps the client more in automating newer application because as we are going ahead, applications are using many technologies when they are building. It's not just one technology. So yeah, Tosca helps in identifying those objects and making the automation much easier.
Indeed, yes. It's a complete test management all around test tool. So the learning curve is also very low for learning about Tosca, designing Tosca tests. And we've already mentioned the Tosca CI client. It's part of the installation package of the Tosca test suite. It is available, and you can connect it to a lot of CI tools. Mostly working is what I've worked with is Azure Devops and Jenkins. But there are also other tools you can use, but then you will need to use batch scripts for that. But it's easy to use. It's easy to implement. That's the reason.
It sounds really easy. Is it that easy?
Well, it is very easy. It's not that someone has to be having a lot of expertise in test automation, but as Tricentis provides training, and they are not, I mean, they are free of cost. I think sometimes I'm not sure right now it is that, but it is free of cost. So you do automation specialist 1 and automation specialist 2. You do the 2 courses and you can start working on the tool. Well, you won't be the expert in that, but it's a starting initial phase that will help you to create the scripts and everything. Well, what I found mostly when you talk about CI, like I say it is continuous testing. You need to spend a lot of time in identifying the test cases which are like priority 1, which are very much in risk. Because if you spend a lot of time in just automating whatever you have the script, that is not what is actually required. I mean, you will get a benefit out of it. You need to make sure that you have a regression set, which are the priority 1 test cases of it. You have to mark them out and automate those first, and then go gradually to the lower level. Then you are going to get the benefit of it. And if you are just automating everything, that's not what is test automation.
So it's not only about the automation part, but it's also about the strategy.
Yes, absolutely. Because
the basics of testing.
If you have a good testing, good strategy and everything, then definitely you get a better result. And if you are not having a strategy, and Tosca is very easy to work, but it has its own pitfall as well. Because if you don't do it in the right way, then you have a lot of time. You have to spend a lot of time in maintaining the scripts. It's as if, like, in my experience, I've seen many team members who have initially started, and when after 6 months some new joins, and then you have to start a whole project again.
So that's where you are coming in to help clients with starting right from the start.
Best practices and the way of working.
So that's what you're doing. This is your daily job?
It's a daily job, because we have to guide them, because we have to tell it's not that my daily job is to make them help them with creating the script, but my daily job is to make them understand the way of working with Tosca, because that is how the regression, everyone in the team members should know how to work with the single way of working in the project, because that helps all the team members.
So it's if I understand you correctly, Tosca is a great tool to use it in a CI/CD in a CI/CD pipeline. But in the end, it's a tool, and if you don't use it on the right way, it's like
you won't be having the benefit what you actually want to have.
So I think that's an important lesson to take with you if you want to start right from the beginning.
And also, the important remark for this is that if you use Tosca, you need to check how the infrastructure of your organization is organized, because Tosca itself, Tosca Commander, the tool itself, if you want to use it with a CI tool, you need to have the Tosca infrastructure ready. So that means that Tosca Commander needs to be communicating with a Tosca server. The Tosca server needs to be communicating with the agent, and in that case, you need to work together with the infra team, with the developers, because developers are programming some code. You need also have the repository location available for everybody, so everybody knows where to design the code. Because if we test this, design our code in our own repository, and the developer does it in his own repository, it doesn't work. CI/CD doesn't work. So you need to have the infrastructure ready.
Is that the first step to take? Have the infrastructure ready?
Yes, that's one of the important steps to take. So you need to have the Tosca infrastructure ready, and if that's right, you can implement CI tools like Jenkins. It's an open source example, but Azure Devops is more like a mainstream.
So I know a lot of clients from Cicd are thinking about building up pipelines. Of course, they are interested in fast feedback, because that's important in this market. You already told us about the infrastructure, but can you explain what advice would you give to companies as the first steps into the world of CI?
If you have a like not a big team or such, because I've worked from version 8 of Tosca, and initially they had just the Tosca CI. They didn't have any decks or anything. So when initially every project, like in an organization, every project used to have their own repository, and they used to be having it on a local system or something like that. And it was very difficult, like if the person is not there, or if the shared drive is out or something, you cannot execute. But as it evolved, I mean, it went into new feature, the multi-user and Oracle, and you can have database and a lot of. So as an organization, when you want to start for it, you need to make sure that you have a multi-repository in that. So you need to have something like SQL Server, or you can need to have some database where you can put the repository, and all your project team members can utilize that to execute or create script, and the same repository will be used for your continuous testing, wherein you can set your test events with, that is what we call it in Tosca, the test events, and keep that test events in the tool, that is maybe Jenkins or Azure, and run that test event, and usually that goes and hits your agent, next agent, so you tell in the Tosca world, and the agent start the execution. So yeah, this is how you're completely. When I talk about Tosca is just a tool. When I talk about infrastructure, you need to have Tosca server, you need to have next agent, you need to have complete infrastructure ready to do this continuous testing.
But then when you're ready, you got your fast feedback, right?
Yeah, when you're ready, you're good. And also it's provided by Tricentis. I mean, you don't have to buy any additional licenses for that. You already have bought the license of Tosca. So you need to maximum utilize this. I mean, you cannot just have Tosca on your own system and use it. So I think the organization should look into that, to have a complete infrastructure and have multiple repository and continuous testing.
So it also comes with big choices for a company. Do you go for a tool like Tosca or other tooling you have to integrate in the process? But when you decide to go for Tosca, it's making life easier because it's low code. Tricentis keeps on supporting, but keeps on improving the products.
And I've seen that. I mean, when I've worked with one OSV, I was working for virtualization, orchestrated virtualization, and we were not able to like virtualize the services, and Tricentis helped us in virtualizing that. And when the next version came, they had already implemented that change. So it is evolving. It sees in the market. It sees in the clients what is the issues they face. And when the new version comes, they implement all those new changes or features they add to the tool. So yeah, it is helping, growing a lot on the features. And here I want to make one more point. Is like, well, if I'm working on 12 or 13 or something, and by the time you are already, there is a version, I mean 15, 16 coming up, and the client installs directly 15 or 16, leaving behind the 14. You need to make sure that what is the features that are available in this 14
Yeah.
Because when you go to 15, you just discuss about the 15 feature, but you don't discuss about the 14 feature.
Yeah.
So the client doesn't know what is there in the 14,
Yeah.
but he knows what is there in the 15. So you need to make sure that when you're going from 13 to 14, what all the new features coming up from 14 to 15, the upgrade. So that makes easier, because when you're on 15, you know what all features you can use for building your test script.
That's true.
Indeed.
Yeah. Really true. And we already mentioned, I think in addition, the support of the Tricentis company is very good. That means that if someone has some issues like implementing some features of Tosca, like Tosca serving combination with Azure Devops, that you can raise an incident and they will pick it up and then give you some solution. So it's not only that we need experts from your own side. Tricentis also giving your advice in implementing these processes.
Cool.
So that's also a very good point to use a tool like Tosca.
And I would just like to add to that, like if you want to be an expert or something, then you need to go through the knowledge bases which are there on the Tricentis support side. Because there are a lot of issues which many of the test automation users face. They ask question in that and there is a solution given to them. So it might be that you won't be using that, but still if you go through that, you will have a good idea about how to solve any issues which comes in future.
So as a test expert or a test automation expert, if you want to know more about this topic, go to
I think as if you are really putting your career in Tosca, then I would suggest you to go to the knowledge base of Tricentis and just go and see what solutions and everything, and that will definitely improve you.
Also, tip advice is there is indeed a knowledge base part, but there's also the ID portal that you can raise some new ideas, because some new features sometimes have lack of some features, and then you can raise a new feature ID, and I think that's also a good thing.
That's a very good thing. That is what I said. Tricentis listens to the people, and so like I said, when you add your ideas, and they take it whether that can be implemented in their future Tosca version.
So, okay, excellent tips. I think if people forget all the tips, you can rewatch this webinar, by the way, but definitely people within Cicd, but also people outside of Cicd, just send us a message and we'll show you the right direction. Okay, we started a little bit later. We got 10 minutes left in this webinar. You both have a lot of experience in working with CICD, with Tosca. What's the last advice you would like to give to people or to companies regarding this topic?
Yeah, if I talk about not about the CI, but I would go to a first step before the Tosca. As I'm a Tosca expert, like I would say that it's decide your strategy on test automation, what exactly you want to have, what all things you want to automate. You have to have a very good strategy on that. And the second part is the way of working, because my experience on that has been a lot, and I've seen many of the projects fail because they don't have a good way of working, and they need to have all the best practices to be. And if there is no expert in the team and they're all new, I think Tricentis has a lot of best practices with respect to test script creation, test design, and all. And I think they should go through that, and that will definitely help for the team.
Indeed. Yeah. And I've also some tip is patience.
Yeah.
Patience. If you don't have patience, I always said to my colleagues or clients is that little steps will make greater steps. So if you fall into some problems, issues, know that there is a solution in the future. And I've learned that if you don't have patience, then you have a lot of problems later.
So in the process of fast feedback, you need to be patient.
Indeed.
So I think the script creation always you need a patience, because that is the time when you are actually putting your efforts and time of creating. And once that goes into the execution phase, then it's okay that it will be taken care by the next agent or something. You don't have. But the initial phase, you have to put a lot of patience.
I think that also means that you have to keep your stakeholders patient, because I think management, they are expecting fast feedback. And
exactly.
I know exactly that's right, but in the first place, I know that I was on a project. We had I guess 2 months time for implementing a pipeline, CI/CD pipeline, and then we knew that the budget was not enough for implementing that. So in that case, the fast feedback will be, we don't have the budget to implement this, but we can give you fast feedback for a small part of that.
Small steps.
So small steps will, and then so I think communication is another thing to keep in mind. Keep everybody in action.
I expect this to be a very technical webinar about CI/CD, but what I've heard is that in the end, CI/CD is also about communication, mindset, things like that.
Yeah, because end of the day, it's all that mindset that is what will help you in actually your continuous integration in development. And Tosca plays most of the important part in your continuous testing.
I would love to ask some technical questions, but I don't know if there are questions.
Well, there are a few questions, but they have been answered in between, because I didn't mention it very explicitly. But wait, there's a new question coming in. One of our CICD colleagues is asking, will there be a training regarding CICD and Tosca in the future? Something like PATHAS, but then for CICD, will that work out, or is it?
We are planning a training on Tosca installation. So we already started working on it. We are already working on because we want. It's not related. It will not be related to script Tosca script development or something like. It is more of an infrastructure. So there people will come to know like how you can use Tosca in CI.
But there will be in the planning, I guess, after the configuration training, we will design a training, for instance, to start a partner with Tosca. And if you have maybe some questions about it, there are some blogs around it. Start checking it.
You've been writing blogs lately, Osman.
So you can, everybody can be a DevOps engineer, so should be no problem.
It starts with interest in the topic.
Indeed.
Yes.
And you've been mentioning something I'm really proud of in our community. We're really building fast on new training, and then this autumn we will start with a training program for media Tosca tests, but also for the experts, like the installation training, the Tosca architecture training. So we will have a lot of to do when spring is coming. Autumn is coming, not spring. Thanks. So something to look forward to the installation training. I know you're both working very hard on it. Also good to mention, because we're getting close to the end of this webinar. On the 6th of October, we have our QX Day, Quality Experience Day. It's the biggest testing event in the Netherlands, and we will definitely dive in deeper in the possibilities with Tricentis, Tosca. They will be there as well. And so during this webinar, we only had 45 minutes to get a glimpse into the top of the topic. But I will say to the audience, definitely join the QX Day on the 6th of October in Utrecht, because you will see a lot of Tosca, Tricentis, and other very interesting very interesting testing and test automation topics on the QX Day. For now, I don't see any last questions coming in, and otherwise just send us a message on LinkedIn or on the if you work for CICD on Teams, of course. But if you don't work for CICD, don't hesitate to reach out to one of us, and we are happy to help you out with our knowledge, because sharing knowledge is one of the things we like to do. We like to do best. So I would like to thank you very much for being here as the experts in Tosca and CICD. I'm very happy that you keep patient in the beginning while we had the technical issues. I want to thank you for being patient as well with us. I hope you enjoyed it, you learned a lot. Next month there will be another testing Thursday, always on the third Thursday of the month. More information will come soon, and we hope to see you over there again. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.